Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would like to talk to you about how love shows up in your hands. A lot of people have some misperceptions around this, and I want to just give you some clarification. I am a palm reading consultant and soulmate expert. My name is Cynthia Clark, and you can find me over at soulmate.support or at palmistry.world. So, love is one of those complicated subjects that everybody wants to know about, but um, they don't necessarily want to know the scary stuff. Okay, so I've done over 7,000 readings in the last 10 years in my practice helping people, and a lot of those readings have to do with love and relationships. And sometimes people just really they don't ask because they're afraid I'm going to tell them something bad. But really, learning about what your hands have to tell you can actually be quite empowering, and especially around the topic of love. So, in the traditional way of looking at hands, mostly you've probably heard about the lines, and absolutely the lines do reveal information about your emotional system. Okay, but what I want you to understand is that the lines in the hand can and do change. Okay, so it's always good to see where you're at as a snapshot through the hands. And I like to look at it in terms of, it's your hands are your mirror. Okay, they're reflecting back to you what how you feel and what you believe. Okay, so the heart line is probably the most popular place to look at love in general, and that is located in the uppermost part of your palm. It's that big line that's just underneath the fingers. Okay, so the heart line tells you about your emotional flow. And you can think of all lines like rivers of energy, they show flow. Okay, so the heart line is going to show you how you feel and how you express those feelings to others. And this will include both private relationships and also more public relationships, depending upon which hand we're looking at. So your active hand is going to show more of that outer you, that public you, and the passive hand is going to be more of your internal or subconscious you. And they may be the same and they may not be the same. That's what makes palm reading so fascinating, is to learn the differences. Okay, so the heart line, it also shows a lot of damage in terms of, have you been hurt in a relationship? You can check the quality of the line. You can check and see if there are breaks in the line. Definitely shows some stress. Dropping crosses shows stress. Diamonds show frozen energy. All of these things are boxes um, being boxed in. Okay, these are ways to tell through the heart line. And the lines I want to stress too are the most complicated part of analysis of your hands, because they do have so many different variations. Okay, so there is a misperception out there that children show up in your hands, and I just want to get that out there right now. That's not true. Okay. Um, yeah, based upon the information that I have studied over the years, it simply is not accurate, because when you look at children, it's like, well, what constitutes a child? For one person, it could be their dog. For another person, it could be, someone adopted, versus is it their natural child? There's just way it's too complicated. Okay. The same thing goes for marriages. All right. Now we can see relationships in the hand, and those are located on what I call the affection lines. Okay. So they used to be called the marriage lines. They're these lines on the side of the little finger, and they're the little tiny lines, okay, that are horizontal that will cut over. We call those affection lines rather than marriage lines because we don't know if there's a piece of paper attached to that line. Um, you know, people have different ways of looking at that, and also those lines do change over time as well. So, again, it all comes back to what is the person perceiving in that relationship. Okay, so if you're still attached to an old relationship and you haven't let that go, chances are it's going to stay on your hand. But, maybe you're one of those people that just is like, okay, I'm done, I've moved on. Then it's going to actually disappear. And maybe a new line will form, maybe it won't. But it does tell us some information, at least, to discover and explore. So, another area that we look at to find love in the hands is called the zone of sensuality, and that's actually located in your finger, the little finger. Okay, Mercury is our little finger, and Mercury is all about communications. Okay, and so we have 3 phalanges, okay, in each of the fingers, and we look at them also on the horizontal plane. So we've got the lowers, the middles, and the uppers. Okay, the lowers, the ones closest to the palm, are actually going to be more of the physical realm. So your zone of sensuality is located down here at the bottom of your little finger, okay, closest to your palm. And that section can tell you about how much physical communication, or you can think of it like sexual communication, is a requirement for the person or is a preference for the person. Whether or not they're receiving that or not, you can also see stuff like that. So some really interesting stuff can show through the hands in that area. And then another place to look is in what I call the mounts, and those are located in the palm surface. They're going to be the bulges in the palm. So they're called mounts because when you relax your hand and you kind of look at it sideways, you see like little puffy pillows. That's going to show you energy in the different regions. And you can actually see your giving versus receiving energy in the palms. So your giving energy is over here in what we call Venus, and your receiving energy is opposite in what we call Luna. Okay, so you check the quality of those mounts. You check their puffiness, you check their color, you check their elasticity, and all of those things will represent the different energies in your giving versus your receiving. And then the other area that I check for to find love is actually in the hand shape itself. Okay, so your hand shape actually is pretty well set by the time you're about 6 years old. And that information can not only identify who your soulmate match is, but it tells you who you're, it's who you are too. So it'll represent your primary archetype. It'll represent your, you can think of this as a set of personality traits, and it will tell you what your preferences are in terms of a partner and a relationship. So that soulmate relationship is there. You can see your great matches, your good matches, your opposite match. You can identify a ton of stuff just from your hand shape. So these are 5 areas where you can identify love in your hands. And I hope you found this information interesting. I hope you're going to take a look at your own hands. And if you want to learn more, please go to soulmate.support or palmistry.world for more information. And thank you so much for joining me today. Have a fantastic day.